Welcome to New Life Live, the premier place to receive free advice from Christian psychologists and counselors for the mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual challenges you face. Since 1988, we've offered compassionate responses that combine God's truth with proven psychological principles to guide you toward healing. Our phone lines are open. Call us now at 1-800-229-3000.
It's one of my favorite days of the year, National Radio Day, and I'm so happy to be here celebrating with you all. This is New Life Live. I'm your host, Brian Perez. New Life Live has been on the radio for 37 years now. I've been here almost 37 weeks, so I'm loving every minute of it. Licensed marriage and family therapist Dr. Jacqui Mack-Harris is here, as is Dr. Jim Burns, the founder of Homeward, and we want to take you from being as is to fully restored. So give us a call at 1-800-229-3000. We're going to be taking your calls for 2 hours today to discuss whatever's on your mind. Maybe you need help navigating a relationship with someone who's bipolar, or you're doubting your self-worth. Give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. Jacqui, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Then
how are you?
I'm doing great. Dr. Jim,
Great.
what's
Any
on your
day's
mind?
great with Jacqui here.
I agree.
And happy Radio Day.
Yes.
You're the radio guy, so it's Happy
Happy
Brian Day.
Yes.
Happy Brian Day. I don't know about that.
I didn't bring a cupcake, and I'm sorry.
Oh,
I would have.
We'll serve those afterwards in the kitchen. So what's on your mind today, Jim?
Well, I'm
Let's
going
start us off.
to talk about a word that actually can be a good word, but it's conflict. You know, when people are in conflict, we always think that's horrible. And I've been a conflict avoider all of my life. I'm learning some things. Communication's a learned trait, Jacqui, as you know.
You're a lover, not a fighter.
Boy, am I. I'm a runner sometimes, not a fighter. You could just ask my wife of 51 years now, okay? But, you know, with conflict, you know, we have negative conflict, what I call the negative conflict dance or the positive conflict dance. So let's talk about this. Maybe some of our listeners can identify with me, because this is kind of me too. You know, we have tension and friction and problems and pain and whatnot. And when we do the negative conflict dance, we go right to defensiveness. It's normal, we do that, but it stops good communication. And when we have defensiveness, you know, we start blaming or we get anger. And one of the questions I always have to ask is, do I want to be right, or do I want to have a better relationship? Sometimes I need to keep this mouth of mine quiet. But defensiveness is not going to work, but we tend to go there. We get defensive, then we move to what I call disconnect, because if you're defensive for too long, you disconnect in your relationship, and that's when, you know, you emotionally withdraw. Kathy said a phrase, she hasn't said it for years, but she used to always say, I feel like you're crawling in your cave. Emotional withdrawal, and then you move to kind of being detached. So now we've got a lot of people in relationships because of tension and conflict where they're bitter, they're resentful, they have contempt. Some of them are lonely, unresolved issues, fighting, deadness. I mean, we're going to hopefully have some callers who talk about that today because that's the deal. That moves to deeper tension and regret. But I want to teach the positive conflict dance today very quickly. Well, we start with tension, right? But then instead of moving to defensiveness, we move to we. How do we resolve this issue? How do we assume responsibility for whatever the issues are together? And when we do that, now I'm not blaming Kathy, she's not blaming me, but we're trying to resolve the issue by becoming a we. What can we do to resolve this issue? And you know what happens when I do that, and I'm trying my best, is we get connected. And when we're connected, we don't have to agree on everything. We don't. But now we're not doing the win or lose on each other. Or that blame game. We're learning new things about each other. We're learning new things, and I feel connected even when there has been tension. And again, we don't have to always agree. And then, of course, what you move to is what I call authentic oneness and feeling loved. And you can do that within conflict. So that's my thought for this morning.
All right. Jacqui, any thoughts on Jim's thoughts?
I love the idea of feeling loved while in conflict, right? It's so opposite of what we usually think about.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about this issue or any issue that is on your mind, whatever it is you're going through. We are here to help you, and we're taking your calls for 2 hours today. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. But if you've got a question, call in. We would love to hear from you, hear what's going on in your life, see if we can help you with whatever it is you're going through. I bet you we can. 1-800-229-3000 is our number, and we look forward to hearing from you today with Doctors Jim Burns and Jacqui Mack-Harris. Give us a call. We are here for you.
I went to Every Man's Battle in 2012. My sexual integrity was not what it should have been. I sought out affairs, whether physical or emotional. Until I came to Every Man's Battle, I didn't understand that would never fill that void.
Every day, men struggle with sexual integrity. Impure thoughts, strip clubs, affairs, pornography.
The shame and guilt was overwhelming.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Intensive.
You will discover what the true root of your pain is, and you will discover how to overcome.
You don't have to struggle any longer. Get help in Cincinnati, Ohio, August 22nd through the 24th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to register or to find out more. 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Enter the code NLL for a discount.
Every Man's Battle saved my life.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We've got 3 New Life courses that start the first week of September. Which one are you going to choose? We have Healing as a Choice, Lose It for Life, and Take Your Life Back. Those are the course titles. You can find out what they're about and register by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go online to newlife.com. 1-800-229-3000 is the number to call us here in the studio today. And there are other ways you can get your question to us, just in case you can't call when we're here. You can send us an email, or you can leave us a voicemail. And you can find out the phone number for the voicemail and the email address when you go to newlife.com/radio. Wendy sent this in. Happy Wednesday, Wendy. Wendy's a Club New Life member, and her question is, what resources would you recommend for my shy 14-year-old granddaughter? She's starting to attend a public high school, coming from a private Christian school, and none of her friends are there. She's extremely quiet, shy, self-conscious. She has trouble making friends. What would you recommend? Jacqui, what do you tell Wendy?
First, Wendy, I love your heart for your granddaughter. Sometimes parents get a little concerned because their child is shy, and they think that's going to be bad for them in the long run. They want them to make friends, but sometimes it's just their temperament and their personality, and they may be highly sensitive, and so a lot of stimulation is just too much for them, and we push because we're uncomfortable with it. And so I would have Wendy spend time with her and enjoy time with her and get to know her. And then maybe she can help her get involved in some activities where she can make some new friends. But also the family's anxiety about her going from a private Christian school to a public school could add to her anxiety and her inability to engage because, oh no, you're going to public school. It's just school. It's just people, and they'll be fine. But we then put our fears and our anxieties on the children because of our own concern. And I think her granddaughter's going to go and be fine. But she might want to hang out and spend some time with her, and maybe take a look at how we love and how we love our kids.
How we love her, yeah.
Yeah, how we love our kids, and see what she can do differently in her relationship with her to address some of that shyness.
Yeah, I think we live in a world of extroverts, I think. Well, it's equal, I think, probably. You guys probably know better. Equal parts introvert and extrovert. But because the extroverts get all the attention, we want to make sure that our kid isn't the one sitting in the corner there with no friends at lunchtime. And now here's a new school. So compound the fact that she's going from a Christian school to a public school.
Right.
Jim, what would you
Well, you know, I was a youth pastor in my old life, and I loved kids like Wendy's granddaughter. And sometimes you said extrovert, introvert, and sometimes we mistake shy as, they're an introvert. They don't need as many people. I'm an extrovert. My wife's an introvert. That means Kathy can have a great conversation with a few people in her life, and she's fine. She doesn't need, and I'm having a shallow conversation with 100 people. That's putting me down, by the way. But, I think her granddaughter probably needs to make sure that she's involved in youth group. I'm big on that. I honestly believe that kids in public schools can thrive so much better when they're involved in a youth group where they have some friends, where they have that kind of experience that they were having probably at the Christian school. And, no Christian school is perfect, but, she had probably safer friends. I mean, she could have some, there's you just don't know what you're going to get. So I would encourage her to really engage in the youth group. Our kids moved from a Christian school to a public school in from eighth grade to ninth grade, and similar kind of situation. And we said to them, this is now really important. Youth group we made it more of a priority. We didn't punish them when they did something goofy, and our kids, of course, were perfect, but they didn't know. Actually, they did goofy things, and we wouldn't punish them by saying you can't go to youth group. We had more other circumstances for that. We encouraged them to be in youth group, and they found their friends. And funny enough, they found friends at their public school who were there. They got involved in Christian clubs at the Christian school. We ended up having Fellowship of Christian Athletes at our house for 4 years. It was a great thing. And our kids had all their buddies there. So they had lots of ways to still be around Christians. But the introvert is not going to, and shy, and it could be self-image, and there's lots of good things to talk about with that. But truly, I think we got to make sure that they find a good support system, a good circle of support, for a kid who's going into a public school. But we need a good circle of support for anything. We do as adults, they do as young people. Way to go, Wendy, for caring like that.
There's been conversation in my life lately around making friends. And adults are having a hard time making friends. And so I think about the grandmother and her concern. She doesn't want her to go through what she went through, because we're actually creating engagement opportunities for grown-ups to help bring us back out and into fellowship with one another, because there are so many 30-somethings in my life and 40-somethings who are talking about the difficulty of finding friend groups, because we're not going to church since the pandemic. People have decided they don't really need that, but then they're confused about why I don't have people to hang out with. And like you said, the youth group was where my kids made their friends. My kids went to public school, but I don't even know the number of kids who came to church because we were the youth pastors. And so my kids brought them to church. And so I think that Wendy's granddaughter is going to be able to find her way. And introverts need to be alone to recharge, whereas extroverts need to be around people to recharge. And so it may very well be that there's a lot of extroverts around her, and sometimes she just peels back to the background to relax, to get away from it all. And it's not necessarily that there's something wrong with her self-esteem. But I think that grown-ups in the life of a person like that can cause a self-esteem issue, because they continue to say that there's something wrong here, when it might just be her temperament and her personality. And it's okay that she doesn't have a gang of people around all the time.
Peer pressure is interesting, because Wendy may be concerned about peer pressure for her granddaughter. And, we have negative peer pressure, but we also have positive peer influence. So we want to make sure that those kids do have that positive peer influence. And it doesn't, with Wendy's granddaughter, it doesn't have to be a ton of kids. It can be a smaller group who are going to give that positive influence to her and with her. And she can thrive. Maybe this will be the season where she absolutely thrives, because sometimes, when we make a move, that can be a good thing. There's new people to meet, new places to go, and
people don't have you in a box. Right at that Christian school, they've known you. They think this is who you are, and you've grown up there. And so now you're 14, you're getting to launch into high school, maybe try out some things.
And Jacqui, what I loved is this is where Grandma can come through. Grandma can say, our kids, our grandkids, 2 of them went to school for the first time yesterday. And so, man, we FaceTimed them. How was school? And one of them thought it was absolutely wonderful, and the other one didn't like his teacher already. And we, grandparents, we didn't have to go, well, what's wrong with that? We just said, well, give her a chance, and you're going to have a great time. But as a grandparent, just being engaged that way. And the beauty of that is grandparents can do that we happen to be very close to these grandkids, and they live very close to us. But long distance grandparenting, there's this amazing thing called the internet, and you can get on FaceTime. How was your first day of school? So with Wendy can be the cheerleader and probably get a lot of information from that granddaughter. And the granddaughter's going to be appreciated. She doesn't have to always give advice, but just cheer her on.
Just be her friend. Just be somebody she can talk to, a safe person. And I agree. She doesn't need a big group of friends, probably because of the shyness. She might have a high sensitivity to a lot of noise and a lot of activity, may be easily overstimulated. So a good friend or two might be all that she needs, and I'm hopeful that she can find it in public school. I'm actually a fan of public school, so I think that she is probably going to blossom because there's going to just be so much more for her to explore.
Yeah. I actually appreciate, Jacqui, that you said you're a fan of public schools, because a lot of times we who are within the Christian world downplay
Give it a bad rap.
Because and honestly, some of the culture stuff is just frankly not within our biblical worldview.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean most people have to have their kids in public school for one reason or another.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to come along. Kathy and I, when our kids went to public school, we actually, believe it or not, in terms of our church, we volunteered a little less. We were still fully engaged. Volunteered a little less and volunteered at the school. We were running stuff. We even had a budget for some of the things, and we were doing stuff that was like Kathy did grad night. This was when the kids were older, and she brought all the youth pastors in the whole area, invited them to be a part of grad night, and they were the fun. I mean, of course, she made her husband come too, so I had to do an all-nighter. That was not that fun, but the youth pastors were amazing. Kids are
They're good at this.
Yeah, and the youth pastors are saying, "Hey, you got to come out to our church and do this thing." So there are positive sides to it.
And the squeaky wheel gets the oil. Be involved.
Yes.
I learned that when my kids were in preschool. And so when they graduated, my youngest graduated, I did too. I was always a part of PTO. If I wasn't president, I was over a monthly something or another for students or for teachers. But I knew the people on campus, and they knew me. And that's what I think families can do if they're concerned about their children having to transition into public school, and hold space for the fact that it is a different biblical worldview, but be confident in the Holy Spirit that's in you and in your child. And don't cover that with the negativity that you think could happen. We're just going to speak life and speak over this child who they are, not who you think everybody else is. We don't want to bring that energy in, but this is a good girl who loves the Lord and who's been raised in a loving family, and now she's going to carry that light into this public school.
Wendy, thank you for sending in your question to us through newlife.com/radio. Find out how you can send us your question there, either a voicemail or an email if you can't call in when we're here in the studio. But alas, we are here in the studio today for 2 hours, so give us a call at 1-800-229-3000. And Wendy, thank you also for being a Club New Life member, a monthly financial supporter of New Life Ministries. Let's go to the phones now. Here is Mary, who is listening in Alexandria, Virginia on WAVA. Welcome, Mary, to New Life Live.
Hi. I have a question. It's basically a follow-up. I called several months ago regarding my mom, like trying to have conversations on pain with my mom. And anytime I try to share a conversation of pain, she'll make it all about herself.
Yes, I remember your call.
Yes, so I talked to my siblings, and they all agree that they have the same issues with mom. And this is really weird, but the 4 siblings were having a meal with her, and she made everything about herself, and we kind of confronted her, and she didn't take it well. And she tried to team 3 of the kids against one of the siblings, and we didn't. We actually took the sibling side, and the conversation turned really badly. And now one of the siblings has sided with mom. It's the sibling that lives with her. And the other 3 siblings have been, mom cut off communication with us. And so
really
my
sad.
question to you is, I feel kind of bad because when I had the conversation with mom, I said, Mom, if you keep doing this, if you keep complaining about us to the other kids, you're going to turn us against each other. And I said, I know as a mom you wouldn't like that. And here we are. And so my question to you is, I would love to talk to my mom and ask her how she felt, but of course I can't do that because she has set her boundaries, and I'll respect that. But how do I handle that conversation when the time comes? And how do I stand up for what I think is right? Like, she shouldn't be making us take sides. How do I handle that?
Can I ask you one quick question, Mary? You said that the sibling who lives with your mom sided with your mom. Does that sibling live with your mom out of choice? Is she like her caretaker, or does she live there because she has nowhere else to go?
So he is the only son. And the reason why I think he's siding with Mom is because we had this conversation. Mom has been abused by both of her husbands, and he feels that it's an obligation for him to be the man that will side with her at all times.
Okay. All right, Mary, stay on the phone. We've got to take a break, and we'll come back to your phone call and everyone else who calls in today. I see Trisha, Jean, Ann, everyone else. We've got 2 hours today, so I'm almost certain we will be able to talk to you today at 1-800-229-3000. But we'll find out what's going on with Mary and how we can help her. Any initial thoughts as we go into the break? Or are you going to save it till...
No, we're saving the best till after the break.
Leave us on a cliffhanger. Okay, sounds good. So we'll be back here on New Life Live. And if you're watching us online, make sure to share this video with your friends. We'll get more people engaged, more people calling in, and put them on the path to healing. Call us, 1-800-229-3000.
Here at New Life, we want you to have transformation. And so we have created the New Life courses, and you meet weekly on Zoom with a coach or counselor. You're going to have teaching as well as that group connection, because we know how powerful that is. We hear that all the time about our intensives, that they love the information, but the group process is so powerful. And many of you have been hesitant to participate because you're not sure, the timing, the price. The New Life courses are going to meet you right at that area of need. Every week you're meeting on Zoom with that therapist. You're going over the concepts as well as connecting as a group. It is so powerful, and it's accessible. Wherever you are, you're going to be able to join us.
Embark on your journey of personal growth and self-discovery in September with a New Life course. Lose it for life, take your life back, or healing is a choice. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Club New Life changes lives.
You guys came along into my life in 2022. That was a really, really difficult year of my life.
You can help New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people by joining Club New Life today.
I began to really process a lot of things that I've needed to for a long time, and y'all were a very big part of that.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
I came out of it having never experienced anything like that, and y'all were there.
Join today and help continue the message of hope to a troubled world.
I knew I had to keep going, and I joined Club New Life, and y'all have been the resource that has now been a light for my wife and I.
Go to newlife.com/CNL, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places.
Keep doing what you do, because it makes a difference.
newlife.com/CNL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Hey, Mary, you still with us?
I'm here.
Oh, good. You scared me for a second there. I thought you had left. But okay, so what do you guys say to Mary and her situation with her mom?
Well, Mary, in some ways, your mom is putting you all in what we call estrangement. And this may not be the worst estrangement story, but it's estrangement. She's not willing to talk through this. And one of the things that any expert in that world says is that even though she should be treating you differently in those issues, sometimes you have to, lead with love, lead with empathy, and begin to understand even why she feels the way she does. And sometimes that means not coming right at her. So she probably felt ganged up. Probably needed to happen maybe, but she felt ganged up. And so I think this time it might be better for you to have coffee with her and just say, Mom, I love you. And I know she's not wanting to meet with you right now. I love you. And if you don't want to talk about this today, that's fine. But sometime I want to, understand your feelings and let her talk. It's so hard because you want to be able to say, but Mom, and give her the right answer. But when in estrangement, that seems to not work if we put them on the defensive too quickly. And so I'm going to encourage you to not change your values or change your opinion, but change the way and kind of even validate your mom for who she is as your mom. And I always call it protect and yourself and honor, the relationship that you have with her. This is a slow dance to come back, and be very patient. but she doesn't sound like she does real well with deep confrontation in the midst of, lots of emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I've been wondering if maybe she has some childhood stuff. The brother said that she disclosed, she'd been abused by the two husbands. The brother may be taking her side because he has had the empathic conversation with her. He lives there, so he's sat with her and maybe been curious about what her experience was. And so I would encourage you to first seek to understand what her story is. You guys want her to acknowledge and validate your pain and what you experience. She cannot. And so you need to get a therapist that can help you with what you need to do about that, because she can't make it better for you. And you've tried before, and you probably continue to try until you get in and do some work of your own and get some healing for yourself, because mom has her own story and her own challenges, and she can't hold what it is you want her to hold. And so doing the same thing and getting the same results isn't going to move you forward. I think the best thing you could do would be to start therapy for yourself and maybe get into a group of some sort where you have a community, maybe people who have gone through similar things. But you'll have to learn how not to need her to be and do something that she's not and can't.
Yeah. And she's reacting to you, Mary. And I know it feels like rejection, but she's reacting to you out of those wounds that Jacqui was just talking about. So again, it's not your responsibility to fix her from the abuse that she's had. But, if you look into her life, it may give you a better understanding of why she acts the way she acts. And when she says, a counselor can give you great, the Bible says, where there's no counsel, the people fall, and the multitude of counselors are a safety. That's why you want to have a counselor and maybe even a coach to kind of, coach you lightly how to, come back into the relationship. My experience is that it's in the time, sometimes when she goes, I'm never going to talk to them again. Well, that's probably not the case. What's going to happen is if you'll come at it from a different angle, or, there'll be some kind of an occasion where you saddle up. She'll want to know how you are going to relate to her. And so do the best you can to give her the empathy, even though we're not saying that what she's doing is right. What she's doing is not healthy at all. And maybe, you obviously understand probably why some of those reasons are coming, but that's the way you kind of tiptoe back into the relationship. This isn't just jump in, like you jump into the pool. This is a tiptoe back into the relationship.
And as a parent of adult children, sometimes it's hard to, not sometimes, it is hard to sit and listen to the criticism from your children about the mistakes that you made, because you've been being hard on yourself their whole life. You haven't done it perfectly, but she may be sacrificed a lot, and there might be times where she's like, you have no idea what was going on that day. You have no idea what I had to deal with. And so she may be hurt because she feels othered now. And so be curious. Seek to understand her, and that will bring compassion into the conversation. If you can lead with empathy, just for a little bit, try to imagine what it must have been like for her to be in that situation and still trying to raise these children and not being seen by anybody. And so the children are who she's going to see her, and now you guys are adults and she's learning how you really feel. That's really, really painful. I know my husband went through a similar thing with my daughters because he was in the military and he deployed often, and they will say, well, mostly my youngest will say he wasn't ever there. And he's like, that's not true. I wasn't a deadbeat dad. That's what he hears. And they're like, no, physically you were somewhere else. And he's like, but I was doing everything I could to provide for my family. So it really hurts him, but he's learned how to be present and hold it. But that's taken some time.
That's great advice, Jacqui. Great insight for her.
What book can we send to Mary from the newlife.com store? What would you guys suggest?
Doing Life with Your Adult Children. Even though it's the reverse, I think Mary needs that insight.
Very good. Doing Life with Your Adult. Didn't you write that book?
Yeah,
Yes,
I did. I need to read it regularly.
I have it right here. Yes, great book. We recommend it all the time because there is so much good advice in this book. I love the subtitle, Keep Your Mouth Shut and the Welcome Mat Out. You can purchase that at newlife.com in the store. But Mary, we're going to send you a copy just for calling in today here on New Life Live. Lots more phone calls coming up. I see a time-sensitive call from Trisha. We will get to you next. I think you're going to be jumping on a plane or something soon, so you need to hear our advice in a little bit. Hang on here on New Life Live.
I was stuck. I was so stuck. 27 years married. My husband addicted to pornography for the majority of our marriage. I was very isolated and didn't really know which way to turn.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or a physical affair, or pornography, Restore Intensive will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
When two people want to do their part, we can be restored. But if they don't, we can still be restored. We are not stuck because someone else made a decision. That God lets us weigh in on how we want to walk out our life. Our wellness does not hinge on another person's decision.
The Restore Intensive is coming to Washington, D.C. November 7th to the 9th. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
You guys helped me figure out what was going on.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. Do you need help for life's hard situations?
My husband recently said he wanted a divorce.
I'm confused on what I should do.
I have an eating disorder.
New Life Live answers your questions on relationships, grief, addiction, trauma, anxiety, and much more, all from a biblical perspective with our panel of professional counselors and psychologists.
I learn a lot from your program.
You help so many people.
I appreciate your ministry.
Whether you listen or watch, there are so many ways to connect with us to ask our panel of counselors a question. Call us Monday through Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific at 1-800-229-3000 to ask your question on New Life Live. Or go to newlife.com/radio for other ways to get your question answered.
I'm trying to find help.
I just want to know how to set boundaries.
If it's a sin, what am I supposed to do?
Need a therapist or a coach, a resource, or an intensive? Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Hey, we've got one more Intimacy and Marriage Weekend Intensive coming up this year. If you feel like you and your spouse are just roommates or are stuck in recurring conflict, don't drag those issues into 2026. Come to Intimacy and Marriage, where we cut through surface-level counsel to address what really divides you and your spouse. You'll leave as a changed couple with new understandings and renewed spiritual, emotional, and physical intimacy. You might even renew your vows afterwards or go on a second honeymoon. Get all the details at newlife.com. Did I mention the most important detail? I don't think I did. It's October 17th through the 19th in Dallas, Texas. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or visit newlife.com to get all the details. Now we're going to talk to Trisha in Philadelphia, who is not about to get on a plane, but she is about to meet with a friend from church. Trisha, what time are you guys meeting?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super nervous. We're meeting at 2:30.
Okay.
And it's just, thank you for taking this call. This person probably is listening in. But it's gotten to be like a really big conflict, and so you started the whole hour with the conflict conversation and our topic, so I thought I'd try and call in. Some of the background, we have met before, and the meeting didn't really go well. We just wanted to, this person had said some things that were actually hurtful to several people and did some things that were hurtful to other people in the church. And yeah, we could turn a blind eye, but it just kind of like kept going and going. Like it just seems like I don't want to say a personality thing, but you know, so we thought I took someone with me because I was afraid. And I really thought we were gently, I was using I statements, and we were all trying to use active listening. But the person turned it around and said, well, that's what you perceived as what I did. That's not my intent, so therefore I don't owe an apology. And when we tried to really, again, try to say it again, got a little more animated in the speech, and this person, started really crying and saying that it sounds like we're saying that they're a terrible person, and the church really wants us to approach this to have unity, and so now here I am, and I'm scared.
Is this person in leadership, Trisha, at the church?
No,
Okay.
the spouse is in leadership.
Mm.
They were in a leadership position. I'm totally going to be outing my whole church and everything with this.
Well,
Just don't say the name. Just don't say
or
the
don't. Or don't.
Okay, yeah.
Or don't.
Let me see if I could. We had a really big thing going on, and this person and their spouse were put in charge of it, which was great because they have really great ideas and they're very detail oriented. However, the rest of the church also wanted to come in alongside and help, and we were allowed to do that, but all of the ideas were poo-pooed, and it was like everything had to be their way. And so feelings were hurt, toes were stepped on. Delegation was, they delegated some tasks, but then when it came time to do it, they kind of pulled it back and said, well, this is actually how I want it to go.
Okay.
So I know it sounds kind of childish and petty, but I don't.
Sounds like relationships to me.
Well, yeah.
Right.
So I don't know how to approach the person without, again, I don't know if they have, they had a very visceral reaction the last time. So my intention, and the person I went with, was not to make them feel bad.
Trisha?
It was just to point out, hey, you're hurting people's feelings. You might want to do this differently.
Yeah.
But then, so I don't know. What are your ideas on what I could do?
Okay.
One, I would say be curious. I'm wondering if you have any idea of what her perspective was. She said it wasn't her intent to hurt the people, and so she doesn't feel like she should apologize. And I encounter people that are that way because they don't understand that the offense has already happened, and even if it wasn't what you meant, it doesn't change how it felt to the person. But we're each responsible for how we navigate our own emotions. She does sound like she has a hard time regulating emotions, but it sounds like this is it feels like she is what we call the identified patient. In a family, in family therapy, there's a problem in the system, and there's usually one particular person that is acting out, and that it's noticeable and rubbing people the wrong way, and so we see that as the problem. And in reality, that is happening as a response to other things in the system. Yes, it's a problem and they need to deal with that, but there are other things within the system that kind of support that or continue to bring that out. And so I would say everybody look at themselves. And you could even bring in a mediator. I've gone to a few churches where I've gone in and been the mediator to help mediate the conversation. So having a professional go with you to these meetings could get to the place of unity that your church leader is wanting. But if you don't have anyone experienced with holding both of you while this conversation is going on, you're probably going to end up with the same thing.
I think it's great that you guys are all meeting together because often in these kind of situations, people are just backbiting, talking about leadership or talking about that other person, and
like
they should do it our way.
Letting it go under the rug. But that doesn't generally help. It just builds bitterness, and then something even worse usually happens.
Yeah, Jim?
Trisha, are you coming from a leadership background? Are you in leadership at the church? That does make a difference in terms of this conversation.
No, I am not. But the person's spouse is. I have had guidance both from the pastor and some other people in leadership to pursue this, to get it resolved. And it really isn't. These offenses, the one that really was offense to me is so minor, I couldn't care less. But it's just, there's a like a personality thing that's going on, and it's not been it hasn't been really said out loud, but apparently this might have been a pattern of behavior that why this couple left their former church and now is at my church.
Right. Well, the reason I asked that is because you had mentioned that you brought somebody else along, and because it is kind of a church matter, sometimes it is better to to come with someone like the pastor or whatever and have a conversation. That doesn't change how you're going to do this. I'm going to suggest that when you start, you don't go right at the issue. I'm going to suggest that you say, hey, when we met, it seemed like it didn't go well, and I surely didn't want to hurt your feelings, and yet I want to know how you feel about that. What could I have done even more effective? Because, the people still feel this way, but because you can't deny feelings where you can deny, well, they're wrong and I'm right, whatever, and get her to talk. And she may even come at you then, because you go, well, you know what, you didn't do it so good either when we came, right? So, and in that case, just in a loving manner, kind of go at it and say, well, is there anything we can do from the church? Obviously, I've been in conversation with some of the people from the church. This is not my game to only play. I'm coming, with the suggestion from others. What can we do to make this work? Because we want to make this work. People support what they help create, and she may come up with an answer, and maybe you might be surprised. She goes, you know what? People have said this about me before. Is this a common thing? You're playing with the gift of exhortation. There's a spiritual gift called the gift of exhortation, and we think of that as only a gift of confrontation, but it's also a gift of coming alongside somebody. So what you don't want to do is put her on her heels. You're not this person, I can tell just by your voice. But, again, when you start by saying what could even review that first one, she's probably thought about it. Now, she got defensive. Option one is she comes right back at you and she goes, they're all wrong and I'm right, and, you may not be of much help. Secondly, though, she may have thought about this and she goes, I could see what you were thinking. Think about marriages. I mean, we do this with marriage. We'll have a confrontation with a marriage, and then they come back and go, you know what? I see that small light. You're sort of right, and I wanted to enlighten you more, and then you have a good conversation, whatever. So that's what I would do. But you got an issue, and if you can, are you by yourself this time, not with another person?
Yeah, and I know this could lead into a whole other conversation. The pastor it was based on Matthew 18, and I was kind of chastised indirectly because I took someone with me, but I didn't really trust how the conversation was going to go.
Right.
So now this is kind of like a quote-unquote redo.
Yeah.
So I'm supposed to be alone.
Right.
The pastor will be in the church.
Right.
You know what? That's something that came up when you were talking, Jim. When you go and approach her, say, you know what? Just like you didn't mean to hurt people, I didn't mean to hurt you. So I get where you were coming from. Can we talk about how we could have done this differently?
Yeah, you're right, because she did say it wasn't my intent to do everything you're saying that I did. So yeah, Trisha, you can say the same thing. Any recommendations from the newlife.com store that we can send to Trisha? I don't think we'll be able to get it to her by the time she meets with her church
She's
member.
Got minutes.
Yeah, she's got minutes. Yeah, we'll send
We
it
will pray for you at the break,
Yes,
honestly.
that is for sure. So we'll look for something to send you from the newlife.com store. Trisha, thank you so much for calling in today. I see we have other calls as well. We'll get to you, and we want everyone else to call too. 1-800-229-3000. We're going to be here for another whole hour. Give us a call.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. For over 35 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addiction, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
I found a counselor through New Life Ministries, and it's just been outstanding.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be
his.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first steps toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door for a better tomorrow.
To get someone that's competent, that's good at what they do, it's been like day and night compared to what I've had before.
Call 1-800-639-5433. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Trisha, we're praying for your conversation today that's going to happen in just a few minutes. Thank you for calling in. We're going to send you a copy of Boundaries from the newlife.com store. You know, your financial gift impacts countless people who are helped by hearing the New Life radio program and podcast, connecting with a counselor or coach, attending a workshop, connecting with a life recovery group. Your generosity goes a long way to help a hurting person find hope, healing, and a brand new start. Make a gift now at newlife.com or by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE. You can also text NLM, as in New Life Ministries, to 28950. Small gifts are welcome. Large gifts are welcome. I mentioned this last week for those of you who speak coffee. Your gift can be tall, grande, venti, or trenta. You can even add a shot. God bless you for whatever you can do at newlife.com or by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Here is Jean, who is listening in also Philadelphia on WBYN. Welcome, Jean, to New Life Live.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for taking my call. I am calling. I've been dating a widower off and on for about 10 years. And when I say off and on, it's date for a couple of years, and then he needs to take a break, and then we resurrected again. And we started reading the Bible together in January, wanted to deepen our relationship, deepen our faith. And, you know, as we get along with our spiritual growth and life, you know, I'm realizing that the intimacy piece isn't appropriate because we're not married. And I prayed about it and came to a point where I had to have the conversation with him and just share that, you know, as we grow in our faith, I'm struggling with the premarital intimacy. And I'm sure he was a little bit surprised, but took it as like, okay, no more of that. We're done with that. And kind of dismissed it, and apparently seemed okay at the time and was okay for the next week, but then I could feel the pullback and, you know, less messaging, like short texting, and I knew where it was from. And then he just fell off communication altogether. We're supposed to go on a trip to Maine the beginning of July, never connected about that. Sent him a heartfelt text messages, you know, it's, you know, let the enemy get between us. Let's move forward. This was I meant for it to be a conversation for us together to how do we grow through this. So I have a lot of emotions, and I guess my question to you is, you know, what are your thoughts? I've been praying a lot about it and have my own in my head of where I feel things are, but it would love your input as well.
So, Jean, when the relationship gets called off, when it's gotten called off in the past, has it been because of the same issue? Because you decided that you... Okay. So this is the first time you guys have ever done anything like this? Intimately?
Correct.
Okay. All right. What would you guys say to Jean?
Jean, when you said it's been on and off for 10 years, in the breakups, have there been... It wasn't about sexual intimacy, but it was about... something. Were there arguments or disagreements that caused you guys to stop talking and seeing each other as often, or is he the type that just kind of goes away for a little while, shuts down, and then maybe months later checks in, happy birthday, and then it rekindles?
The second part, yeah, it's never really been like an argument, which, yeah, it's hard too, right? Because sometimes you have to have these hard conversations to go forward. So he would just, you know, say, hey, I need a break. Would come back and say, hey, I was in a toxic place. I was overwhelmed. But the break is like a year and a half. So it's not, you know, a couple weeks or whatever. And always take it back with open arms and pick up where we left off. But this is the first crossroads with the intimacy,
which is very telling. You shared something that's a concern for you, that's a valid concern, and he heard it and understood it as a valid concern. But his response to it, his physical response to it, relational response to it, tells you a lot about where he is. And as you were talking, what was pinging around in my head was he doesn't want to get married again. And that if that intimacy is off the table because you're not married, then that assumes that it will be back on when you're married. And he may not want to get married again. Have you guys talked about marriage?
He did. I've never brought it up before, but he did say when we first started dating, like first year into it, he could see us getting married. Okay. And then he needed a break, and it never really brought it back up again.
Okay.
Jean, during the times of breakup, do you know if he's dated other people?
He says no.
Okay.
Mm-mm. No. I'm not sure if he's a little bit on the spectrum. He's got a son that's on the spectrum, so my kids would like to say that they feel he's a bit on the spectrum as well, and he just shuts down.
Thank you for that. That actually, for me, is helpful.
Yeah, that does help. And also, you're telling us about a man who uses this as a pattern. There's a pattern in here of him, coming together. Intimacy, let's just use the word intimacy, not for physical or spiritual, use it for connection. So he deeply wants your connection, and then the pattern is, then I need to break off for a bit. And when Jacqui asked about, does he have any intentions of marriage or things like that, that really would be a good conversation to have if he comes back. Right now his pattern is I'm gone, we didn't go to Maine, on and on. But if it comes back, I would probably come back only under the condition that you could talk with a counselor. We always think about marriage counseling. You've been both spiritually intimate and physically intimate with this man, so there is a closeness. So this would be potentially, you could call it pre-marriage counseling. I probably wouldn't lead with that, but at least defining the relationship. If he's not willing to do that kind of work, then he may not be worth you having this up and down for 10 years, my opinion. So I would suggest that if he comes back around and you still want to have the relationship, I wouldn't give in to something that you don't feel is right for your values and biblical values. But I would say, hey, I want to do this, but I've been getting a little bit of counseling, and it's been really helpful. Would you be willing to come and just kind of talk through this? Nobody's going to gang up on you, because a lot of times, especially if they're on the spectrum, there may be a point that they're afraid they're going to get ganged up on by the counselor and by you, and make sure that first meeting isn't like that. But really, you might be able to get the wisdom from a third party kind of watching this. But you also see you'll see more of his intentions. You've been together off and on for a long time, and that does produce, and even spiritual intimacy. I mean, we talk about this a lot, where people have to, even people in ministry. I'm looking at Jacqui because Jacqui does counseling. She's a professor, a pastor. I mean, just has amazing amount of that stuff. And she would agree with me on this, is that sometimes you have to be very careful when you're developing spiritual intimacy with someone who you're not married to, because the depth of spiritual intimacy in a relationship can cause a greater desire for physical intimacy. You would probably agree with that, Jean. And so, this is where next time around, what are some of the, boundaries, or what are some of the conditions that you want to see this relationship move forward? If he's not willing to do that, he's probably telling you, I'll pick and choose and come and go.
And if he's on the spectrum, he may be the type of person that doesn't read the room. He may not be able to easily empathize with what it must be like for him to drop off for a year. And this may just be a part of the regular rhythm of the relationship, more so than a response to the intimacy conversation. This just may be his cycle. And so I agree with Jim. I would hope that you get to decide if you want to move forward or not, but certainly seek counseling.
Would Boundaries be a good book for Jean? Okay, Jean, stay on hold. We'll send you a copy of Boundaries, and we're going to be in the studio for another hour. The phone lines are going to remain open at 1-800-229-3000. And Bruni, Whitney will talk to you in a little bit, and everyone else here on New Life Live.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.